the stock market, meaning companies' new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts. They're nuts. They know nothing.
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now on Market Mania. The no bullshit approach to all financial markets, from Bitcoin and darknets to political betting, and of course, covering the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. I am your host, Brian Micon, financial genius, Bitcoin since 2011, playing poker too. Joining me are these fellow degens, Matt Glantz, Brett Ritchie, Glantz, former options trader on the Philadelphia Exchange, and Ritchie, head of Blitzpick, coming to a blockchain near you soon. This whole thing is put together by Tony the producer, and this is Market Mania. Market Mania, ladies and gentlemen. This is a hell of a day in the markets today, Tony. Let's get right to it. Matt Glantz, kicking it to you. How's the fun going, and what's going on in the market?
Market's green today, up about 2%. Selecting, that's okay. That's an extra transition right there. But it looks like some of the meme stocks are doing good, some of the Robinhood stocks. I would think that Brett is doing well today. What's going on there, Brett?
Yeah, well, I only care about one stock right now, and that is Overstock, where I'm still all in, doing pretty well. I actually am up even a little bit more than this, about 1035 in the portfolio now. Again, I'm still looking to either get out some or all the way of Overstock into something potentially a little more exciting, but I guess I got to be happy I steamed my way out. I was buried, and now I'm up, so that's always a good place to be. And as Kelly Fisher says in the chat, the shit show is on, LOL. Cannot argue with that, Kelly.
Kelly is correct. And in the top story of our shit show, we still have Donald motherfucking Trump at 10-1 in the betting odds. I mean, Brett, what do you got here? I mean, is it still a game? Is it a dictator market? What do you make out of this?
So I'm not really paying attention to his path forward. I think it's like a huge time suck to go down that conspiracy rabbit hole. What I do find interesting is like 300 million or so has been traded on this market since the election ended. So this is liquid. People are putting a lot of money at stake. Obviously, I think some of it is Biden bettors just taking that 85 to 90% payout right now instead of waiting indefinitely. And then they have this like long shot futures ticket on Trump to get another full dollar per share. Matt, I know you have some thoughts about why people hate laying 10-1, and so this market price is not accurate.
Yeah, so like the way the markets work, especially like these online betting sites, is like nobody wants to like put up, $10 or $100,000 and let it sit there to try to make 2 or 3% over a month and lock up all their funds. They want to take shots where they're getting odds. They're getting 2-1, getting 5-1, getting 10-1. They don't want to lay 10-1 or 20-1. It's just like it feels like a waste of money. Plus, you have some risk of the site going down in the meantime, or something bad happening where you don't get your money back. So people tend not to want to be on the other side of the market laying the odds. Only the market makers do that. So that in effect makes everything priced longer odds than it should be.
But
Why
to be fair,
Betfair
is not like those offshore sites. I mean, this is about as safe as it's going to get. It's publicly traded, massive company out of London.
Right, but if you're going to go through the hassle of depositing money online, it's a lot easier to deposit $1,000 and take an 8-1 shot than it is to deposit $20,000 and lay 8-1. Right? You don't want to go through that hassle. So
some of the Trump bettors, as we know, never cared about price leading up to the market. Right. And now it's like, take 20-1 on Trump. Like they're just going to blindly bet it 10-1.
Plus, when you're laying bigger odds, you want bigger edge because you're taking more risk. And when you're when you're getting the odds, you're less susceptible to wanting the more edge.
How does this even settle, though? I mean, have we sort of decided that there's not this tens of thousands of voter fraud, that the president has even tweeted? But I mean, have we decided that that's not it, and it has to be some shenanigans extra path to the?
I think that's still a path.
White
The
House?
Electoral College. I'm not 100. I really haven't paid a ton of attention.
Is it a faithless elector market? I still can't figure out where.
No,
that
those faithless electors would not count for Betfair. I do know that. So this market does not count the chance of Trump winning via faithless electors.
If you're betting on Trump right now, you're counting on Trump going to the courts, winning in the courts, getting votes thrown out, hundreds of thousands of votes, legal votes thrown out. They say illegal, but any vote that was in at 8:05 p.m. instead of 8 o'clock, even though the guy voted 2 days before the election, they're trying to get every technicality to get every vote thrown out. It's not going to happen. There's zero chance Trump's going to win. Just understand that, Trumpers. Zero chance. Trump is finished. He's done January 21st, whatever it is. That's it. Say goodbye.
But you still won't land a 10-1 though. So
you'll be able to watch him on the new Trump network every night at 8 o'clock. You'll be fine. You'll see him. He'll be
Max
it's
Lance
a big
on
game
Twitter.
for someone who's not laying that 10-1. Just saying.
What?
If you need to argue with the man, he's right there on Twitter at Mac Lance.
Will you shut
See
up?
if you have
Listen,
something to say.
Brett, I've been laying a lot at 6-1 and 8-1, so I don't need to lay 10-1. But
Money
a lot.
where the mouths are. And moving along, the craziest story that I think that might even be crazier than the 10-1 Trump market is that Jack Ma, he does kind of look like a squished person, but he was recently about to drop a $35 billion biggest IPO ever in this Ant Group, some Chinese financial whatnots. And it looks like the president of the Chinese president, I don't even know how to say it. Is it Ping? Is it Zing? I don't know exactly.
She, as in like he, she, she.
And it looks like he put the kibosh on this. He's like, I'm sorry. No. Brett Ritchie, what happened? Was he talking shit?
It's almost a little bit like an Icarus situation. I believe Jack Ma gave some speech back in October or September that was, I believe, somewhat critical of the Chinese Communist Party. And it's almost like they might have been too big to fail. Like they run Alipay, which is it's like a Venmo type, whatever. It's payments in China, which is a massive market, and they really dominate that. And I obviously, like the Chinese government, I don't necessarily know how it works over there, but they want their cut. Like you can get rich, but you have to do it sort of within party guidelines. And I'm not necessarily sure that he was doing that. And so they kind of they stepped in and said, we're not letting this go forward because the party's not getting their cut, or they're not getting what they want out of it. Are you following this, Matt? I know you were following the IPO coming up.
Yeah, guys, China is not America. China is a dictatorship. Okay, it's a communist dictatorship. In America, Trump could come out with a tax cut, and I can go on TV and say, this tax cut's stupid. It doesn't help the poor and whatever. It helps the rich, and he's fucked up. Jack Ma tried to do that in China, and they're slapping him down. They're saying, we don't care how much money you have. We run this country. You don't run this country. You're going to get slapped right here. And that's what
I
they
thought
did.
Trump was literally a fascist dictator, according to a lot of people on Twitter.
Okay, let's get back to let's stay away from the nonsense for a second. Let's get back to China and She just slapped Jack Ma down, the richest Chinese businessman, and said, look, all the money in the world, you still don't run the country. We run the country. We got to show you who's boss, and that's it.
Now, would you say this is a case of act like a bitch, get slapped like a bitch?
Well, I mean, Jack Ma's the first guy to really speak out of it against his own communist dictatorship. So I don't know that he's acting like a bitch, but he definitely got slapped like a bitch.
I will say this. I would act like a bitch if I were a Chinese billionaire. I would just toe the party line and be happy being a billionaire. So,
all right, not
whatever.
An activist stance, but you can understand it. Infinite wealth, but you got to toe the party line. These are the voyages. So we will be looking at that to see if Jack Ma disappears or not in the coming weeks. And the BABA price tanking, the biggest win. Is that the largest win in Chinese company history? Alibaba, it's got to be up there.
Got to be
up there. It's got to be like it almost has to be.
Mania, by the way, speaking of the next topic, they're on quite a trajectory themselves for a Chinese company too.
And I believe, Matt Glantz, you were all over this Neo story.
Okay, so Neo is a crazy stock. First of all, Neo is up over 900% year to date. Okay, so it's one of those stocks. It's the Chinese Tesla, and it's been going crazy all year, but it's doubled in the past month. They have earnings on Tuesday. The people are buying calls and puts in this thing like it's going out of style. It's 200 implied vol, which is insane. Basically, to give you an idea of what's going on, they're expecting the stock to have an $11 range. It's a 45-hour stock, $11 range between now and next Friday, 1 week from today. So that's a very volatile stock. This morning it was up to 54. Now it's back down to 44. So it's all over the place. The one thing that they have going for it is they are the real only true competitor or possible competitor to Tesla in China. And so you would think the Chinese Communist government again would be backing them to the till because it's their only chance to compete with Tesla. It's a $70 billion market cap. So it's still like 1/5 or 1/6 of Tesla, but it's getting up there. And I haven't seen one of their cars on the road in America. I know that.
So I don't know if this. I mean, Fisker too is on somewhat of a tear. I wonder if it's like an EV sector thing. But I mean,
everything in the EV sector is tearing right now. Yeah,
it's crazy. But
Neo is the biggest one other than Tesla.
A huge Wall Street Bets meme stock. Neo has been discussed, I guess, up to like a year or two ago, even. And I mean, this pump has got to feel it.
I'll just say this: it seems like a lot of these really hot sectors just get way. You can just ride the wave, but the value investors are just sitting there, like just shaking their heads, pretty angry for almost a decade now.
It's all growth these days, baby.
Yeah,
all growth. You don't need earnings. Just do an Uber, shit money every quarter, and then just blast off.
The real question is, guys, it's 45 today. Tuesday after the close is earnings. Where do you think it's going to be Tuesday night or Wednesday morning? 35 or 55? That's 52. The question.
I'll take down.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, I could just buy it at 45. I wouldn't.
All right, moving along here. The YOLOs versus the hedge funds, and this is bananas. Glantz, are the Ackmans and the Einhorns and Tony, what do you got here?
Hey guys, I just wanted to cut in here real quick, show this off because it's pretty interesting. There's always been a big debate about the best strategy for the stock market. Do you just put it in an index fund and let it ride year over year, or do you actively manage the fund and try and pick the winners? Well, for the last 10, 20 years or so, the prevailing wisdom was just to put it in an index fund and just get your 6-7% year over year. But it seems like that whole paradigm is shifting, and if you'll look at this chart here, the blue line is the hedge fund returns, and the black line is the YOLO Wall Street bet returns. The people buying the meme stocks, going all in on the fun stocks, the Wall Street bet stuff. I mean, this is the active traders versus the passive. And the problem with the index funds is they all pay these quants a ton of money to build these investment strategies. They're all following each other. So as the market tanks, everyone tanks right along with it, and all that's left is the active traders. So, Brett, this is your future. What do you think? I see you 5 years from now running it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of the sort of little guy getting theirs. And the one thing I will say is there's a common misperception that the public's never right, or that they like retail fish are just always on the wrong side. They can be right, and a lot of the sharp money that sort of follows the herd against the public can be wrong. It's generally the sharp money is more accurate, but it's not like retail, for example, bought the dip this spring almost perfectly. So yeah, I think it's great. I think that the days of needing to pay somebody 2% to like manage your money too, especially with a lot of the baskets of stocks out there, are also dwindling. I think it's kind of a dying breed to some extent, this professional money manager.
Did this thing say, Tony, like which YOLOs it's tracking there? Is it anybody that fires one out? Or is it like, I mean, how are they tracking the YOLOs? Because there are quite a bit.
It doesn't use words like YOLO, but it talks about how retail investment is just destroying them by, basically buying an average hedge fund will say a basket of the 50 most popular stocks. they're all buying the same thing. So it really doesn't say what stocks the retailers are buying.
Well,
It's
this
more
says
of
it's
a-
the 50. The retailers have the 50 most popular stocks. I don't think it's counting like calls and stuff like that, Mike. It's not. It's not the leverage
Yeah.
plays. It's just straight up like 50 of the retail stocks are outperforming a lot of the hedge fund darlings.
Super
it's-
interesting, Tony. It's got
Yeah.
a
Thanks for
growth.
popping in, Tony.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Have a good show.
Peace, fam. It's good. So that, I believe, leads us into the baller strategies that you need to know about. Now, we don't really get too technical into trading here, but once in a while, a tweet comes across my desk that I just have to show on the show. Alex Weiss, I don't know if I've ever met this gentleman in person. We follow each other on Twitter. It's a game, respect, game situation. And this gentleman on election night, I believe, was like 7 digits long on Trump on FTX. And then it pumped big and he sold or at least hedged out a lot of it. It's a pretty sick trade being on the Trump side and hedging out for, I think he said 7-digit profit too.
Yeah,
And that's bananas. So that's when Alex Weiss hit my radar, and I just had to start looking. And he tweeted something today that I thought was pretty good, just saying the simple strategy of trading Bitcoin using trailing stops. He said a simple trailing stop is one of the strongest strategies in Bitcoin. Now, if you don't play with leverage trading, this doesn't affect you. If you put the Bitcoins on the ledger there and then you forget about it, that's that is one way. But if you're out there trying to battle some of these leverage trading sites, this stop loss and the trailing stop is something super good. It means you jump in right now at 16.2 or so, then you could set trailing stop $111. That means that if it pulls back $111, then it'll sell it at market. But should it keep going up and up, let's say it goes to 16.5, now if it pulls back 111, it'll sell it. So it's one of those that if you can, you're going to sleep and you want to set a trailing stop. Matt Lance, do you ever use trailing stops in the real financial product world? And what do you think in terms of leverage Bitcoin trading?
I use them a bunch in SPY options when I'm trading SPY calls and puts, and I'm not really paying attention. But I do use trailing stops in those a couple of the momentum stocks. But what he's saying is true. It's an easy way to passively manage your positions without having to be on top of it every second of the day.
One more thing too, stop losses where you just set a number. Let's say you fire in at 16.2 and you say, all right, I'm going to set a stop loss at 15.8. And then if it goes down that much, it'll sell. It won't follow it back up. You just
So
set a
trailing stop is basically a stop loss, except it keeps moving up. So like if Bitcoin's 16,000 and you have a 15,900 stop loss, and then you want a $100 trailing stop, then every time Bitcoin goes up $1, your trailing stop will go up $1. So Bitcoin went up to 16,400. Now your stop's 16,300. So he's saying as soon as the momentum breaks, you just start selling it.
One caveat that I heard from some extremely baller traders that they said that these leverage sites can see your stop loss.
That's true.
And that sometimes some of the filthier ones will trade against you. Or a market maker, they might just offer this data to market makers. So
that doesn't just happen in
kids.
crypto. That happens in the real stock market too, and real exchanges and real brokerage accounts. So that's nothing new. It's all a fixed game that way.
Be careful.
Information is key.
Yeah.
Be careful out there, kids. Just note that. Note that it's not like poker where your whole cards aren't hidden here. You're playing face up with your stop losses.
All right, put your hat on. Switch your hat, buddy.
Fine.
We got things to do.
All right. He said it. Matt Glantz called it. That means it's time for the Market Mania pick of the day.
Drop it like it's hot. Everybody stack 'em, stack 'em to the top.
Safety glasses are going on. Do your own research. This is not investment advice, but Matt Glantz, what is your pick of the day?
Fuel cell, FCEL. It's probably a little under $3 still. There we go, 289. Hottest market we talked about it, the EV/hydrogen fuel cell market. We'll see how it goes. 289. Let's buy it.
Huge meme stock. Been following this one for a good long while. It traded down into the pennies too. Wall Street Bets had been all over it. It had pumped in the years past and it was dumping and they were running out of money. But now I guess they're back. I don't know. All right. So FCEL, that is the pick of the day for Matt Glantz. Brett Ritchie, hit us with that fresh Robinhood profit there that I see. I love to see your Robinhood account in green. What is the pick of the day?
Get used to it is all I've got to say about that. My pick of the day is Baba. I'm buying this dip off of the Ant Group getting smacked down. Again, I think if you've got 50 billion or whatever Jack Ma has, he got a slap on the wrist a bit of a warning shot from the Chinese government. I think it's like, okay, let's go back to playing by the rules, which also made this company a wild success. China wants this stock to do well also. So I think that this thing it's 258 now. It's been over 300 last week, I believe. So it's a pretty big dip off of news of a totally different company. So I like to buy it here.
Jack Ma summoned to the Chinese emperor, and they said, you don't get IPO. You go back there, and no IPO for you. And so now Baba Tank's on the news. Brett's buying the fucking dip. Gotta love it. Moving along to my pick of the day, which is always a surprise because I barely remember it when I actually fire it in there. I believe it was Mana. Yes, it was. Decentraland, Shenanigans virtual reality platform, open source, permissionless in most ways. This is the currency that underpins it. A little ERC20 over there. You can pick it up off Uniswap if you want. And Mana. I think this game might actually be around. This doesn't appear to be one of those flash in the pan IPOs. There's already something playable. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't on my computer. But Decentraland Mana, I think they're going to pull their shit together. Matt Glantz loves it. He's going to be sailing it on his MetaMask later today. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for Market Mania on this Friday, the 13th. Suspicions aside, you can look around the world today and see things on fire. You see unrest and uncertainty. Maybe you see beauty. But I like to think of some old school rappers when it's times like this in the world. And I quote from DMC on the old school Run DMC track, My Adidas, track 3 from the Raisin Hell album. Anyone else that had that cassette tape? And it goes something like this. My Adidas touched the sand of a foreign land. With the mic in hand, I cold took command. Like and subscribe, Market Mania, right here on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at Market Mania Show. We'll see you next week, if there is a next week. But for now, it's lights out.
Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. Come on, I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold, or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl. Switch it up. I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard at the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury. However, turn it where I would turn it. Can't lie like it's Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine to look the other way. Couldn't clear space and my mind was afraid of the time strobe light flickering in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now.